Ladies and gentlemen, the last 24 hours have seen positive price action for Bitcoin on a short-term level, breaking above a triangle formation with a volume surge. That is the very triangle that I said we needed to watch yesterday going into the PPI release. And luckily, that PPI release has come in bullish, much more bullish than expected. In fact, the forecast was 0.3%. We saw negative 0.1% PPI. Excellent news there, much more strong than forecasted. And now today, as we head into CPI and unemployment claims in just about 6 or 7 hours, basically the fate of this local move, which has begun on Bitcoin, will depend on those claims coming in good as well. In yesterday's video, I made it very clear. The title of yesterday's video was literally, buckle up, September's critical move starts today. I believe that September will be the basis of the next move on Bitcoin. I don't think we're going to consolidate throughout the entirety of September. I think a move will start in September, whether it be up, whether it be down. I think it will probably be up, but the point is volatility will come this month, and this very well could be the start of that move. We just need the follow-up from today's events. So I'll discuss that today. I'll discuss what needs to happen in terms of the targets and what has happened on a local level. It shouldn't take too long. Just a quick little update here in between the major events. And then tomorrow I'll give you an update on what happens with those events later tonight. As always, guys, go ahead and check out the Bitunix Exchange. It's global, non-KYC. You don't need a VPN to sign up. In fact, all you need is an email address and a password. You can sign up from anywhere in the world. You don't have to worry too much about security on this exchange. Obviously, some degree of worrying is preferable. You should always, obviously keep your coins in your own wallet. But this exchange has never been hacked before. So it doesn't have a track record that's bad by any means. Never had a single security breach in 4.5 years on the market, which is exceptionally good stuff. And down below, if you use my referral link to sign up, you can get a 15% trading fee discount permanently attached to your account on every single buy and sell you ever make. So go ahead and use that link down below to sign up, get that discount, help out the channel, and get on a great exchange. Let's dive into the content. I posted a poll on my YouTube page a day ago. I said, where will Bitcoin be on October 1st? And the majority of you guys are leaning bullish, okay? Only about 13% of you said we'll be below 107,000. Below 107,000 is what I consider to be an active bearish breakdown. We want to avoid that scenario at all costs. And that's very simply because horizontally, we have very clear observable support starting at $107,000, the bottom of this green square, as well as the bull market support band sitting at $107,000, as well as the volume profile starting to spike in that region. There's absolutely no debate that $107.3 thousand is exactly what Bitcoin needs to hold. That's exactly where we went down and retested back in late August. If we drop below that region, not only are we breaking below support, we're also forming a lower low on Bitcoin, which could be the start of an actual macro downwards trend. So $107,000 is not necessarily where the bear market will start. It's not like the end of the bull market starts at 107K, but it certainly is a zone that's critically important for Bitcoin on a local level. We don't want to lose this macro range. We want to be bouncing from here, especially if the regular 4-year cycle is going to be holding, because the regular 4-year cycle suggests that a top will be in October, right? That's not far away, okay? And if we were to lose 107,000, we're running out of time at that point to get to where we need to be in October. So in order for the regular cycle to play out, 107K certainly needs to hold, especially at this part of the cycle. And it seems like most of you guys are on board with that. Most of you guys think 107K will hold. And that's partly due to the fact that there is actually a trend. It's not just all crossing fingers and hoping. There is a trend, and this is why I said this week and September in general is so important. There's a trend that suggests it probably will hold. We look at the bull market support band. The bull market support band has been retested on top of a neckline of support, okay? This has happened multiple times in Bitcoin's price history, especially in the month of September. So we have right back here, I've already got it circled out for you, but I'll just delete that just so I can show you once again. Neckline of support, bull market support band retest on that neckline, bounced to all-time high. That happened in September in 2021, and in 2017, we saw exactly the same thing. Bull market support band of support on top of a neckline of support as well, bouncing to all-time highs, right? There is a little bit of a trend forming in regards to September corrections, and September corrections specifically that lead to, again, specifically bull market support band retests on horizontal support zones. Now, if that trend is real, if it is going to be followed, we're moving in the right direction, certainly, because we're already seeing a bounce from that bull market support band, and that bounce is looking quite strong. Zooming into the local level, we can see a clear triangle formation on Bitcoin that is formed with a top of about 113.5 thousand and breaking above that triangle formation with a strong surge in volume, validating that it was a real triangle, puts a new local support zone again at 113.5 thousand. And of course, we are now in a local upwards trend. That's a neckline of resistance that held since the 25th of August. Getting above that zone was critical, and it's good that we did that. Now, with the big macro events coming today, CPI and unemployment claims, the next big challenge for Bitcoin is not falling here, right? I know that sounds intuitive and obvious, but the point is we can see unexpected downside momentum with big readings like CPI and unemployment claims because they can be unexpectedly bearish. So in a way, our charts, our TA doesn't really matter too much right now. There's not really much short-term analysis I can do that's going to offer you any real clarity because Bitcoin is pretty much entirely dependent on what happens with these events later tonight. And for that reason, I'm not really even going to bother. What I am going to tell you is this though, as long as we're above 107,000, we are still in a decent position, and more specifically, as long as we're above 113.5 thousand, which is what the triangle neckline we just broke, we are in a pretty great position, okay? Now, in order for Bitcoin to be back in the clear fully and fully out of this, consolidation / correction, quite frankly, we need to be getting back above this white line here. That white line goes right backwards from the 2017 all-time high, cuts across the 2021 all-time highs, and actually was the basis of the rejection that led to this move downwards to support, right? So getting above that level at $118,000, which actually lines up as well, by coincidence, probably not, right? Probably just by fact, to be a critical level on the volume profile. It's the POC on the volume profile. 118,000 is the upside target for Bitcoin. So again, what I've discussed in many, many videos so far, and I'll repeat it today just because it remains true, at risk of sounding like a broken record, 107 is the critical downside level, 118 is the critical upside level. It's really as simple as that. As long as Bitcoin's ranging between those two things, it is doing just that. It is ranging. On a more local time frame, I'm looking specifically at 113.5 since we just dropped that as a resistance zone and broke above it in the last reading. That is a level that matters on a very local level with these readings coming tonight. Bitcoin still faces some headwinds, okay? It's not in the clear yet. As I said, 118,000 is required, and I don't just say that randomly, okay? It's because we look at things like the MACD on Bitcoin. Weekly chart MACD cross has come in bearish. That's not good, and the last two times that has occurred, it has led to significant corrections, okay? The last two times we saw a bearish MACD cross on the weekly were here and here. We saw corrections from those occurring. That's a real thing, and that's a real threat that Bitcoin does face. But interestingly and importantly, they didn't lead to bear markets. They were just corrections within a bull market. So it's not like this is a bull market ending indicator by any means. And actually, we've seen that cross already, and we've seen the correction occur already as well. So it's not a massive threat, but it is something we need to watch and make sure, again, we don't get too bullish before the fat lady actually sings, right? That's a saying, of course. We need to wait for that full confirmation, 118,000, before we get super, super bullish. For now, we're just cautiously optimistic. Another thing is the RSI, the 1 week chart RSI, very clearly showing 862, that red line there, as a critical dividing level between bullishness and bearishness. Historically, we are still below that level. And again, getting above that level would probably entail getting above 118,000. So there are a couple of threats that still remain. We're not out of the woods yet. Especially because on a local level, we haven't even seen these news events come in. But even if those news events come in, we still need to get that $118,000 breakout. But things are looking good, and things are looking better than yesterday, and certainly better than they were last week with this triangle breakout. So moving in the right direction, that's for sure. There are big momentum shifts waiting to happen to the upside. Bitcoin certainly has another move in the tank. It can certainly make another move here. We look at something like the 2 week chart RSI. We've got a triangle there on the 2 week chart RSI that's been forming since February 2023. We have not reached the upper bound resistance that we usually reach on the RSI as well. So, it's not like we're out of fuel here and just trying to hang on. It's like, no, we've actually corrected downwards and we're probably ready to spring upwards again. And if it is ruined, if we do go downwards, that will be pretty unexpected. But of course, like I said, not advocating for massive buys being planted here because we haven't got out of a clear yet. We need to get that $118,000 breakout. And even Ethereum will tell you that. I think something you can do as an analyst in the market is try to humanize it a bit more. Ethereum is waiting here. And I mean that quite literally. Again, I'm humanizing the charts here, but it helps you understand what's going on a bit more. We have Ethereum, which is compressing downwards, not really making any moves. Ethereum BTC, again, just sitting there on top of support, potentially waiting for bounce, waiting for BTC's signal. You know, if I'm humanizing the chart here, what I'm seeing is I'm seeing that Ethereum understands that Bitcoin is not fully in the clear yet, and hence it's holding off on making its big moves to the upside. And we know that probably is the case because we know that Ethereum has been dramatically outperforming BTC since April. So if BTC was actually in the clear here, we would likely see Ethereum making big strides to the upside, but instead it is patiently waiting for further confirmation. So, of course, I'll update you on the situation when we see those news events roll in tomorrow. Very excited to see what occurs there. Fingers crossed. Thank you guys so much. Leave a like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate you, and I'll see you tomorrow. A lot of people ask me what exchange I use as a trader. I use the Bitunix Exchange, and I don't have a contract with them. I haven't signed anything with them. I don't work for them. I advertise them on my own accord. With my referral link down below, you can get a 15% trading fee discount permanently attached to your account, as well as up to 8,000 USDT in rewards just by signing up with my link down below. Why would you sign up? Well, it's global. It's non-KYC. It's never been hacked before. It's got all of the functions and pairs that you would expect for a major exchange. For that reason, I use it. And I implore you to consider using it as well. Sign up with my link to help out the channel, help out yourself. Cheers.